welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela Spignese and I'm a health and movement coach. And today I'm very excited to teach you how to make a gut healing herbal infusion. So first off, I just want to say that I am a health coach. I am not a medical doctor. So if you are concerned about certain herbs and how they might react with certain medications that you're taking, or if you have a specific health condition, definitely run those by your trusted practitioner before you move forward. I also want to say that I also am not an herbalist. Right? An herbalist and a health coach are two different things, although you can be both. I am a health coach who is learning about herbalism, bringing you some resources and guiding you a little bit, maybe for you to do your own research and to get into it. An herbalist is a very specific and unique way of practicing, and I think it's really cool. I learned a little bit more about that, and maybe I'll share that at a later time. But I want to say also that I got this recipe, or these ingredients, I should say, in this formula from Commonwealth Center for Holistic Herbalism here in Boston. I went to one of their free sessions. I believe they hold these free sessions monthly. I will put a link to their information below. They also have a great podcast, amazing online courses. I really encourage you to check that out if you do want to get more into herbalism. So I went there and worked with one of the herbalists, and we had a one-on-one session, and we went through all of the symptoms that I was kind of dealing with, and then he prescribed me this herbal infusion to help me with the symptoms. So of course it's gut healing. I was dealing with a lot of IBS, or not a lot of, but I was dealing with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, and also chronic constipation and anxiety and maybe some trouble sleeping. So it was a variety of issues, right? But the main name of the herbal infusion is gut healing because it's mainly there to target the gut, right? And so as we get started, just keep that in mind that this was specifically for me, but I'll break it down as we go along. So what you're going to need is, for me, he said that it would be great if I had a 16-ounce mason jar. This costs like $1 or $2, and you can get it at like Ace Hardware, I think probably Home Depot. And if you don't have this, maybe have like an empty glass jar that had like applesauce or jam in the fridge, and you can clean that out and just use this. If it's not 16 ounces, that's fine too. So you need this, and this just screws in the top. Another thing I want to say is that the difference between the tea and the herbal infusion is that a tea is maybe when you have herbs that have been just sitting in the boiling water for a certain amount of time, maybe like not that long, 20, 30 minutes. Versus an herbal infusion is when the herbs are going to have sat in this or steeped overnight in this jar, and you're going to get maximum benefit of the minerals and nutrients that are found in those herbs, right? A tea still has benefit, but it's a little bit different. It's more of like longer time, and then it's going to be a bit more potent and strong when it's sitting overnight, right? And I also want to say that the herbs I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to discuss a little bit about their background. These are all dried herbs, which I purchased from Cambridge Naturals in Porter Square. And they have like a shelf, and you can go in and kind of just scoop them out into little baggies or bring your own mason jars to get the herbs that you're interested in trying. Also, I'm going to put links in the description below to bulk sources where you can get herbs in bulk online, because I know during the time that we're living in right now, we need to be safe and stay home. So if you really want to experiment and find a way to be creative and, you know, of course, feeling that knowing that you feel comfortable enough to try it out, then I will put those in the description as well. So we'll get started, and I do have my little phone on the side here just guiding me because I did a lot of research and I want to just read those off for you. So in case you see me looking, that's why. So we'll get started. The first ingredient is St. Johns Wort. This is what it looks like as it's dried up. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of it. It's about like a teaspoon or a tablespoon. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and I'm just going to put it right into the jar, and I'll just show you. It's just going to be like that. I just dropped some on my desk. So put it back in there. So St. Johns Wort is known for helping people with anxiety, trouble sleeping, maybe with depression, menopause, and PMS, right? There was also a German study that revealed that it helped people with depression similarly to antidepressants, or even better. So it's really great for depression. That's something that comes up a lot with this herb. And again, I was really trying to target my gut symptoms, but when in the session with the herbalist, I did mention I was having trouble sleeping. I had recently returned from living abroad for 2 years, and I was all out of sorts, and so my sleeping was off, and I still struggle with that. A lot of us struggle with that on a day-to-day basis, but I think that was one of the main reasons he prescribed me this herb, along with because I deal with chronic anxiety. So the anxiety and sort of the sleeping go hand in hand. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you're dealing with one symptom, it's typically connected to everything else, right? And so if you see, what I love about herbs is that they kind of serve multiple purposes, which makes sense in the body. Because if you're dealing with gut symptoms, stomach problems, gas, bloating, constipation, it's most likely you have another sort of mental symptom, like a mental health symptom going on, whether it's depression, anxiety, restlessness. I could be wrong, but they typically go hand in hand, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So number one is St. Johns Wort. And at the end, there's going to be a slideshow with an image of what the plant looks like when it's fresh and not dried. Not fresh, but in its natural form. And I have like a little description of what I basically told you here in case you want to refer back later. All right, and the next one is going to be violet leaf. And again, this is the leaf. It is not the flower. So let me pick her up right here. Can see that's the leaf, okay? And we know violet is to be this beautiful purple flower. So there were two ingredients or two herbs that were originally prescribed, which were Tulsi and Self-Heal. When I went to the store, to Cambridge Naturals, they didn't happen to have those two. So one of the ingredients I swapped Tulsi and Self-Heal for were violet leaf, and that was through my own research, so I was proud that I could add two ingredients to the tea myself. This is rich in vitamin A and vitamin C, also anti-inflammatory, and the reason when I first learned about this because I suffer from perioral dermatitis, which is a chronic skin condition. If you deal with eczema, psoriasis, acne, that all falls under chronic skin conditions, and herbs are a great thing to look into if you deal with that. Again, also connected to the gut, to your stomach. And so I had read about using violet oil to put topically on the face because of the anti-inflammatory properties to help with PD, perioral dermatitis. And I actually bought one, and because it's diluted with alcohol, it can be very like harsh on the skin. So I never actually used it. But I thought, hey, if I was going to try it on my skin, let me try to do the violet leaf in the herbal infusion, right? So that was my thought process. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and just put it right in the mason jar like that. Perfect. And the next one is Calendula, and this is a fun one because it's one that you might have heard of. It's starting to pop up a lot more in your supermarket. If you go and look at a cream or a lotion, you'll potentially see Calendula. It's this beautiful like orange flower. I'll try to do it this way. In my herbs highlights on Instagram, I actually show the Gut Heal tea. I posted it like a bunch of times because I love it. Excuse me. And I actually pointed to like when the calendula is blooming because it's so pretty. When the water hits it, you can kind of see how the herbs open up. And I really love that. So this one is antifungal, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory. So anything that has to do with like a fungal, like overgrowth, this would be great. You can also see it, like I said, in a lot of creams, especially for diaper rash with children. I've seen for babies, I've seen like the calendula added to that for hand cream. And any sort of with eczema or any chronic skin condition, again, calendula is very gentle and it's a beautiful color. And something else that I like about this is that it's fairly gentle. So if you're someone who really wants to start experimenting with herbs, I would recommend, again, as a health coach guiding you, not as an herbalist, to test out calendula because I find that it's pretty light and like gentle on the body, so you're not going to have any like crazy reaction if you just try a little calendula tea. So that's calendula. Okay, we're going to scroll to the next one. We're going to go to yarrow. Let me show you what it looks like. It's kind of a darker green, kind of grassier. There you go. Okay, this promotes digestion, also known to help every organ in the body, kind of like a jack of all trades. In traditional cultures, it was used to help stop external bleeding. And through my research, I found that many of the herbs that are in this gut tea actually serve that same purpose. And it also may help with spasms in the uterine. So again, everything is so connected. Gut health is connected to urinary health. It's all related, right? So we're going to take a little bit of this and put it right into the mason jar. Again, just a little bit. You can do more or less. I experiment with it. You can fill it all the way to the top with your water, or you can get if you want it to be more concentrated, you can put less water as well. All right. The next one is plantain root. And this is not like plantains that you eat, although you know those are my favorite if you listen to episode number 2 of my podcast about healthy travel. But no, this is plantain root and kind of what it looks like, a little bit darker there. And another person who I've studied herbalism through Instagram and social media has been Organic Olivia, and she is an excellent herbalist. She creates amazing products, and she mentioned in one of her podcast episodes as well that it's so interesting how a lot of us nowadays are suffering from stomach issues, and plantain root is actually all around us. It's actually, I believe it's a weed, and it pops up everywhere. And so her belief is that the herb is there, or the plant is there for a reason, because we actually need it. So that's kind of another thing that I think is cool about herbalism, is you're looking at what's around you and you're seeing how it's connected to the current issues that we're going through as a society, right? So this is one of my favorites, and I think it's, for me personally, I believe it's the key ingredient that has really helped me. So it's used to help fight colds, bladder infections, gastritis, again, rich in vitamin A and vitamin C. It also has something called mucilage, which is gelatin found in plants. I almost think of it as like a sap. I could be kind of off on that, but that's, when I was looking it up, that's kind of what it reminded me of. And herbs that are rich in this, they absorb the toxins in the bowel and give bulk to your stools. So plantain, you can almost think of it as like a fiber supplement or a laxative in a sense that might kind of bulk the stool. And they contribute to a lower bowel transit time by absorbing water in the colon and creating like a bulking effect and a softening effect in your stool. So if you're someone who has trouble passing stools, you have chronic constipation, this would be great for you. And I think another thing that is important that I just said is the bowel transit time. You should not be sitting on the toilet for 10 minutes to be able to go to the bathroom. You should at most be getting in there and getting off. Like, you should be pooping right away, right? This isn't to scare you, obviously. I'm saying this because I've dealt with these things. I know it's embarrassing for some people, and I totally get that, but for me, I'm here to help you. So you get on the toilet, it should be like a minute at most to have that smooth movement, as I like to say. All right, so we're going to put in the plantain root, just a little bit, like that, okay? And again, this is my magical ingredient, and that's what I believe. So we're gonna go to the next. The next one is licorice. You've all heard of licorice and Twizzlers, and that black licorice, that sort of, it's a very sweet taste, right? This helps with GI problems, antibacterial, and it's also connected to your dental health, right? So here it is right here, just so you can see it. It's kind of like, almost reminds me of like a bark almost. And so as you know, in our mouths, we hold a lot of bacteria. So whatever's in there, if you get some type of infection, that can also go down into the other parts of your body, right? That's why flossing is so important. Brushing your teeth is so important. And it's really connected to the rest of your body. I used to get crazy like canker sores every month. They would hurt like crazy. And ever since I've done this tea, I really believe it's the licorice that has helped me maintain like that perfect environment. Sorry, I just spit. Perfect environment in my mouth. Obviously not perfect, but trying to create that balance of good and bad bacteria. So this is the licorice root. And I think that this is really what tends to dominate like the taste. Like when you taste it, you're gonna probably have a lot of like that sweet licorice taste. And if you don't like that, then just put less, or maybe find another herb that you think would be suitable. Okay, next one is gonna be ginger. We all know about ginger, right? It's used a lot in Asian cooking. Ginger shots are very common at like juice bars. This is what it looks like. It's just a dried version. If you have fresh, go ahead and pop that in there as well. And this, along with the licorice, I feel like adds a lot of the flavor, and is the other ingredient that I feel like is really helping my stomach. The anti-inflammatory is known to calm nausea and just calm the stomach in general. And this is the other one that tends to be spicy, but because of the licorice, when I drink this tea, I don't feel like it's overly spicy. So just so you know that. Okay, the next one is lemon balm. Like I said earlier, this formula originally had Tulsi and Self Heal, but they didn't have it when I was at the store. So I swapped it out for the violet leaf and now the lemon balm. Here it is. And this one's kind of similar to St. Johns Wort in the description, is in the sense that it helps with anxiety, insomnia, also helps with cold sores, which reminds me of what I was dealing with canker sores. Even though they're different, it's still kind of that mouth area. And I suffer with PD, which is around the mouth. You can kind of see. And it also helps with Alzheimer's, right? And that actually runs in the family on my dad's side. And I didn't necessarily get that because of the Alzheimer's. I found that out later on. But again, it's interesting to see how everything is connected. And that's what I really love. Again, it kind of reminds me of the yarrow as far as it's like a dark forest green. And we'll add just a little bit of that right here. Okay. So those are all of the herbs that are in there. It's not that much. You can do less, you can do more. And I have a tea kettle right here. I wouldn't advise putting a hot tea kettle on the floor, but for YouTube, I did it. So we're just gonna fill this up. I'm gonna try not to hold that and burn myself. You can see the steam's rising a bit. I'm gonna fill it up, and then I am going to put this on tightly. You wanna lock in all those amazing nutrients and minerals. I cannot close this. There we go. So I'm going to show it to you. And it's fun to just watch and kind of see how everything starts to move around and blossom or expand or whatever it's going to do, right? So that is the Gut Healing Herbal Infusion. So I'm going to leave this overnight. So I made this video and I also killed, how does that phrase go? Killed two birds with one stone, because this is going to be used tomorrow morning when I'm eating breakfast. So that's my next thing I wanted to tell you, is that it's obviously going to be cold in the morning, so I am going to strain it with just like a little strainer, and then I have like a little pot and I heat it on the stove just so it's warm again, because again, having warm liquids is also very important for your body, especially if you deal with digestive issues. So I'd highly recommend incorporating those if you haven't already. And I'll eat this with like some oats, or if I have my breakfast tacos, I'll eat it, get that down, and then I should hopefully be able to use the bathroom, and I hope you can too. So I'll show you one more time. And in the description below, again, I'm going to put Commonwealth Center for Holistic Herbalism in there to follow them. Some links to some places where you can buy herbs in bulk online. And also, please follow me on Instagram and take a listen to my podcast called Salsa Soul Food Podcast. And please subscribe to my video, and I will see you next time. I really hope that this helps you out and that you can start to explore herbalism and empower yourself and educate yourself to feel better. Have a great day.